Before I introduce you to our special guest, I want to remind everyone that you can call Hairdresser Hotline at any time. The number is 201 564 5007. You can text, you can leave a voicemail, ask questions, rant, rave. You are giving us permission to talk about it, but we will keep it anonymous. The phone line is always open, and dial now 201 564 5007. And to get started today, I have the honor, the privilege of interviewing one of my long-term students, former students, Casey Lewis. Hi, Casey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm very excited to be here today with you.
Yes, I'm so excited to interview with you. I haven't, you've been out of coaching for quite some time. So this is our first time kind of reconnecting maybe in a year or so.
Some 7-ish
7 months? Oh my gosh, it
Yeah,
feels like
not even quite,
only 7 months.
So much has unfolded in 7 months.
So I want to start from the beginning, and I love that you're a former student, that you're not currently in the program, because I think it gives listeners a different perspective of like, what does it look like after coaching? But I would like to hear how you found Destroy the Hairdresser and what kind of made you get started with us.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been thinking about this since deciding to come onto the podcast.
Yeah.
I have zero idea of how I found you all. I really don't. I know that it was back in, I think, 2018, which, I mean, I can only assume that it was Instagram. I feel like when I scroll back through my Instagram, I do have like an original button from a class that you and Sid had led at Willow on a tour. I don't know how I found you though.
Interesting. Yeah, because however you found us, we ended up coming to your salon and teaching Destroy Bad Business. And I remember your salon is beautiful. If you tell the listeners where you're located, where your salon is, and the name.
My salon is Willow Room Collective. We're in Lakewood, Ohio, which is a suburb on the west side of Cleveland.
Excellent. And since doing Destroy Bad Business, what then made you jump into coaching?
Yeah, so I realized, Destroy Bad Business was I just really resonated with everything that you all were like speaking on, and like the different exercises that we went through with our team. And also I was like, I don't even know if you were doing coaching then or if you were just doing the classes, but either way, it pinged and I really resonated with you all. And then fast forward, I think I started coaching in 2021. And we were, I had the salon and the team had grown. I was working like all the time behind the chair. And I think Instagram, I just started seeing what you all were talking about. And I really felt like I needed support in leadership. We had reopened the salon and I felt like navigating like reopening a business during pandemic, like having a team, being a mom and being behind the chair. I just was like, I was super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so that's really what led me to reach out to do coaching.
Yeah. What did you think coaching was going to be, and what did it end up being?
Can I just say something? I did coach for 6 months with you in 2019, and you had some great advice, and I was like, no thanks.
Actually, yes, I do remember that. We had a short fling. It
was 6 months. I remember our last call, I was in Los Angeles and I was like walking on the hills and we were cutting out and you were like, I don't think you should do that. And I was like, I think I'm going to go on this journey alone. And I took a break. And then, things unfolded. And so anyways, and then I got the call back in 2021 because I was like, I think there's something to that. And
so what was it do you remember what it was that you were like, I'm not going to do that?
Yeah, you had some smart advice to not. You were basically really encouraging me to have better boundaries with my business in a relationship, and I thought that I didn't need that advice, and I was going to learn the hard way.
So we coached for about 6 months. The advice I gave you was good, but you
Yes.
weren't ready for it. And
Right.
then you came back in 2021, which makes sense because the pandemic, no one knew what to do. And I think that I'm really proud of Destroy the Hairdresser during the pandemic because I feel like we helped none of our salons, only I think one salon out of all the salons we worked with closed. And that was actually due to more of a physical situation that happened with that salon. But I feel really proud that a lot of people not only survived COVID, but also opened businesses in COVID and did really well. So what was coaching? What were you expecting and what did you get?
Okay, so I really loved the idea of hourly pricing. And so I really came into coaching to to learn about hourly pricing and to find some support in like navigating that. That was like my main reason that I came in. And honestly, I think that I found so much more. I learned so much about my reactivity. This is not news, but I feel like all of the coaching methods, like really when we're working on emotional intelligence and reactivity, can be applied to like everything in life. And so I really was surprised at how much the support and the education around that just really had a transformative experience. I experienced a lot of transformation, like personally and professionally, actually.
Yeah.
And I think that it really helped reveal to me a lot of just a lot of patterns that I didn't see. And yeah, I mean, it felt kind of like it was just opening, we just kept peeling back layers. And actually, what I think too, like stepping away from coaching and not having our monthly calls, which I was so excited to like connect with you one-on-one today. Not having our monthly calls, I realized even like in this last 7th-month period, like I've had so much time to reflect also on like the ways that I was in coaching, and then also like all of the juice that came from coaching that is still actually like really serving me.
Yeah.
So it's really been
it's
a
still
lot.
Helping. It's still working.
It's still working. Yeah.
So what would you say was the biggest success in your business while working with DTH? Like what would you, if you zoomed out, what was the biggest success?
I would say I feel like there's a lot of little ones that maybe aren't like super expansive on the outside.
Right.
But I would say the biggest one that I could really recognize from the outside is not having to work behind the chair nonstop. And I did not understand just like being able to separate myself a little bit emotionally from my business too, was really transformative and gave me a lot. It was scary. It's really scary to do that because it's like you open a salon, it is everything. You are behind the chair. You are the one. And as the team was like growing and grew over the years, like kind of expanding and contracting, I really realized that my role, not only like I do love doing hair, but my role really was shifting in like how to support other people in their like dreams and desires and growth. And that's really scary to do when it's your business because you're like, protective and it's your space. I feel like I would say the biggest success was being able to step away from the chair and and really focus on how to foster a sense of leadership for a team, actually.
And I think this is a huge shift in the industry that doesn't exist in every salon, which is stepping away and being a real boss and a real leader of the business. A lot of a lot of salons are hairdressers turned salon owners. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, it's hard to let the behind the chair work kind of go away. Even if we want it to go away, it's still hard. We still hold on to it because mentally that's how we make money, right? The more work we do behind the chair, the more money we make. What was the scariest shift that you made in coaching?
Shoot, seriously? Honestly, I would say this absolute, well, part of it too is like walking away from the chair. Like there's like a big grieving period that happens. Like you are like really connected to a lot of people and like that. And also it's my form of art and like creative expression. And I think like stepping away, I was like, whoa, who am I if I am not this? And so it's funny because it's like over time, I'm like, I'm weaving my way back behind the chair because I'm doing it in a way that is like sustainable. But I would say like, honestly, the biggest, scariest thing ever was really like facing the truth of like letting people go when I know that maybe it's not the place for them anymore. It's really hard as a owner to, well, one, just to like feel like you may be letting somebody down actually by like not being the leader that they need. And like, in all honesty, that was probably like one of the biggest challenges in my entire existence of owning a salon. I feel like I can feel my heart pounding even like, talking about it because it's hard stuff. You have connections with people. And one thing that I learned through my coaching and also just a lot of reflection is like learning to recognize like, that even if somebody else doesn't see that, like, that they aren't, that it's not a right fit for them anymore because of maybe their own fears, like being able to step up and be like, it is actually that is how to be a good leader, is like to, help people carry along in the next step of their journey. And, and so the fear of it, right. There's so much, I think that I used to like, think about like, as you're tenderly and carefully building your team, you all really taught me a lot about like the natural stages of a hairstylist too, and like actually zooming out and knowing that like not everybody is going to be here forever, and it's not like a good or bad thing. It's not even reflective really of like your space or like of you. It's like the natural evolution of people can be like, it's limitless actually. And so I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but
what I'm hearing is the hardest thing was letting go of team members and understanding that no one's going to stay with you forever.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's hard for any business owner, especially salons, because we're so emotionally invested in our teams and we spend so much time with them. What was your team's reaction to you implementing Destroy the Hairdresser methods?
Well, I have about, it's interesting. I think that's one thing that I was also thinking about is, man, while you're going through coaching, thank goodness for the coaching, like to implement these systems without coaching, to me, I don't even know, it feels like a wildfire.
We don't recommend
because essentially, unless your entire team is in coaching also, like you're essentially trying to like hold the energy up here and like not go into everyone's reactivity. The salon was, we were open and doing well for however many years before we implemented these methods. And so there was a lot of emotional reactivity. And I did my best to like help like hold the light for people. And also, but what I did notice, because I am the one who writes the checks, is that people 100%, even like through the fear of it, like even though they weren't super slammed, like people's earnings were the same, if not more, with not more work. And so I think I think that the hardest thing, and you all talk about it a lot, is necessarily like the implementation. It's like just noticing the reactivity, because we're in like a person-to-person business. And so I can't imagine opening a salon today without an existing business, and like opening it just in this way feels like easy peasy, where like before, you know, like having something that's established and then shifting it, it was hard, you know, it was quite a journey. But our team that has stuck around has flourished. And even the team members that weren't, you know, that didn't stick around, I just see like that everybody was doing better off with that model if they were able to hang in there.
It was actually, you know, because we talk about this a lot, that usually when you go to hourly pricing, your day slows down because you're not double booking, you're not triple booking. And that feeling of being busy goes away. But like you said, the income either stays the same or goes up. And that's kind of what our mission is. And even though sometimes we can see it in our paycheck, the emotional attachment to busyness is too ingrained. And some hairdressers, even though we say, I wish, you know, everyone wants to be busy, but also everybody wishes they had more time. And then when they finally get it, I think it's the same thing like when a salon owner can step away from the chair. It's like, well, who am I in my downtime?
Yeah, well, we tie so much of our place in this world with like, you know, all of the relationships and the busyness and the productivity. And honestly, we weren't double booking before we switched over to those methods. We weren't double booking because after COVID, we were like, you know, trying to cut down on the amount of people that were in the space. So like, even just from a business standpoint, it made absolute sense to do the thing that we did. And I mean, so that is a shift. I think, I don't remember, I had seen somebody post something the other day. I don't remember, somebody about like, you know, do you freak out when the salon's slow? And it's like, man, those navigating feelings of like, when you're like used to it, just, I mean, like, it just is sometimes super busy and then sometimes it's so quiet. And then like going back to your numbers on like a whole and like seeing like actually what is going on. But you can really go on like a whole journey if you are just used to being slammed, you know. I was too. I was like every 8 weeks, you know, people were rebooking and you couldn't get in for a very long time. And I'm not anymore. And I opened up my book, and I've been like really feeling so inspired by doing hair and like inspired again. And as I'm doing it, like, I'm like, oh, like it feels actually good to have some breathing room. And it's not reflective of my talent as a hairstylist, and it's not reflective of like my value, which.
Right. Because we associate busyness with talented, right? And it's not the case.
It's not.
I'm curious, what was your haircut price before hourly pricing? And then what is, assuming you still do hourly pricing, I actually don't know.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
What is your hourly rate now?
It was $60 for a haircut. Yep. And then I think when I first started coaching, I might have gone up a little bit. And then when I made the switch to hourly pricing, it's $150 an hour.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we've more than doubled your rate there. And what did you see in clientele when you went up to that rate? Which you didn't, by the way, I just want to, for those listening, that wasn't overnight. So don't listen to this and go, okay, I'm going to double my rate overnight. Work with a coach on that. But when you got to 120, what was the reaction from clientele?
Well, 150, and it was actually after I'd taken a break. So like I had taken a break from hair, and when I came back to do it, I just like did it at 150. So
excellent.
Yeah. So you know, I had a lot of people that were like, you know, it was not within their budget, and then the people were like, I mean, I didn't navigate a lot of like reactions except for like, do you have a recommendation for somebody in the salon? Or I don't care, I'm going to see you no matter what. And so I didn't experience a lot. And I think that was, I do feel like that was one thing that I do regret a little bit, like as an owner. I think that it would have been better for me to kind of go through that before.
So you wanted a little more pain?
I think I need a little bit more pain because I think maybe it would have helped me maybe support my team in doing it, because I was kind of like, I'm not doing hair right now, but everything is switching over. And so like but I mean, honestly, like it probably was good for me because I was like, had to be here to focus on like, just like supporting the whole, as opposed to me also having those client interactions, because my team did experience a lot of client interactions, like that were, like that's doubling the cost of my services. And and we received a lot of like interesting, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but I think that one thing that always sticks out is like the negative things, that has like hold such a heavier weight sometimes than like the positive feedback. And so there was a few people that really were basically like, how dare you as a hairstylist think that you should be charging X amount of dollars? And really, I think that you do get this, it's a big invitation to witness reactivity at its finest.
Yeah.
Like how to just like hang here and not go into it,
What's on your team, who has the lowest hourly rate right now?
I think our lowest hourly rate is $85 an hour.
Wow.
So yeah, it's either 80 or 85.
So even the lowest hourly rate is still higher than the $60 haircut that you originally were doing.
Yes.
That's incredible. And what have you seen as a business owner in regards to building profit in these ways?
I mean, to be honest, I mean, a lot of things have restructured for us, but the profit, like I remember going through a 10,000 small businesses program with Goldman Sachs, and like I thought 8% was like, just, we were crushing it. Like they were like, great job, this is like industry standard is to be like
the industry standard is like 6, so you being at 8 was great.
It was great. And then we had, after shifting into these methods, I had quite a bit of growth, and I don't know the actual number, but I was able to step away and like earn an income and not be solely relying on my behind the chair stuff, which was never a thing before. It was not like that at all, actually. So so on a business on a whole, it really helped a lot. It also helped a lot too. I mean, not having, I think I showed you a picture one time of like the amount of retail that we had in this.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I remember.
Like, wow, this is a lot of retail. We were like Devon S diehard, like every product.
And we love Devon S, but
there's so many products. I love it too.
I remember walking into Willow Room, and Sid was with me actually, and we were teaching the class, and I looked at your retail, and I was like, I'm pretty sure 25% of this building is retail. Yeah. And I think that was one of our first conversations actually, was like, there's a lot of space being utilized for, if any of you get a chance to visit the Willow Room or to go to their website, what's the website for Willow Room?
WillowRoomSalon.com.
When you go to WillowRoomSalon.com, you can see it's this beautiful atrium style building, and it's just gorgeous. And the amount of retail you had was astronomical. What was it like? Let's talk about that, because one of our methods is obviously streamlining and removing retail. What was that like? What was it like emptying that out?
Okay, well, I got a little head start during COVID because people couldn't shop, and so I started kind of like, I've been listening to you all for a while, I think, and so it was kind of like, well, maybe we just don't keep reordering, and we just like, we're trying to sell through things. And then I think in 2021, I don't remember when, it doesn't matter, we had this giant ass desk and this like insane retail space. And I started doing the numbers, and like, at the end of the year, my accountant would be like, give me the inventory of everything that you have on your shelves. And it was so much. There was so much money tied up. And like, we did hella sales in retail. Right. And it always was just in the cycle of going back and buying more retail. And what I really I went hardcore. We just like got rid of it, which that was like extreme. We got rid of the desk and actually took apart one of our beautiful displays and turned it into a station. And that was awesome to do and allowed me to hire more people. But it was cool. I mean, we had some clients that were like, this is bananas. What do you mean? Like, you don't have products? I want hair products. And so then we did this thing. Like, I couldn't quite let go of it and be like, well, let me just special order things for these people, which was kind of a nightmare to keep track of. And then we slowly eliminated and gave the team affiliate links with the product lines that we liked doing that.
Yeah.
And we have a very small little section where we keep there are 10 products that we love, and those make sense to me. And it felt like it feels really good, to have what we have now and come from where we went. It was wild.
Yeah,
I wish
it's not $25,000 on the shelf.
Easy.
Right.
Yeah, it was easy. And there were certain things that I really thought was amazing because of the rewards, but what it really came down to also is during this time, I really I do love Dove and S for the performance, but there was certain things that I was learning about ingredients, and I was really trying to move more into removing synthetic fragrances and finding products that just didn't have some of the ingredients. And so it was interesting for me. It felt like kind of kismet, actually, the timing. I was like, well, actually, also this product line was something for us that we weren't going to be using in the space anymore for styling. And yeah, I don't know. It's nice.
Did you see a financial change when you got rid of retail?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I noticed, our cost of goods went down a lot to not be ordering all of the things all the time. And also, I think the other thing that I really was blown away by, and it's weird. These are all things that I've noticed are they're newer. And as a salon owner, you're like, oh, I want to be able to profit as much as we can on things, of course. But being able to have the team have affiliate links and have 30% commission on things, as opposed to what I was able to do 5%. Yeah. I remember and it's just I feel like it's really just it's awesome, actually, and it gives so much. I was never in the culture of sell the retail. But I feel like what it does for people is now it's people only are sharing what they love. There's no pressure, and it gives them the autonomy, and also empowers them to earn more money on retail sales if they're going to sell stuff. So
yeah, and as a salon owner, you're not taking a cut of that, right? You're just letting them kind of build that part of their business. And I think salon owners get really worked up. There are affiliate links that can split commissions, but when you really zoom out, it's not worth splitting commissions. Let hairdressers make commissions on their sales, right? So we removed the retail, we switched to hourly pricing, you got rid of the front desk. What about giving freedom to your team? What did that look like when you started implementing that?
Can I just backtrack for a second?
Yeah.
The other thing, talking about revenue, I was able to offer my team 401ks after switching over to hourly pricing. Not only was I able to find an income that was not reliant on my work behind the chair, I was able to start implementing benefits to my team that there was no way that I could have possibly done that without it wouldn't have been sustainable. And so I just feel that's important to mention, because I feel the money that I was spending on purchasing retail was then also able to be reallocated into creating more benefits for the team.
Absolutely. And it, like you said, it gave you a chance to get a salary.
Yes.
Was that your first time getting a salary as a business owner? Wow. How many years had you been open?
Before then, I've been open for 13, but I'd say for 11 years.
No salary.
Yeah.
This is something that I think is really important for people to understand is the goal for business owners, salon owners is to get on salary. And that's what these methods are kind of helping you get to. And like I said, when you started giving freedom, right? Because some of these changes are scary, but then there's the freedom aspect.
Mhm.
What did that look like? What does that currently look like for your team? Do they have to make up time? Do they have to, make sure that they're going on vacation? What does freedom look like in your salon?
Freedom. No, nobody has to. It's so wild. Like, especially I find like when I bring new people on, I'm like, I don't care. Like, you do whatever you need to do. Like, you don't need to. I used to have this like time off request, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
yes. Like, I would never say no. So I'm not sure that we need this process anymore. And I was thinking about that, like with when I was thinking about like some of my favorite things that we've implemented is like is the station sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And like having the tools to support it, because it gives such a sense of freedom to everybody. I mean, everybody has total freedom to adjust their schedules whenever they need. They can take the time off that they desire to take off. And really, I don't know. That's it. Everybody has the freedom. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think that one of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes with that freedom, people are like, I don't know what to do. And that's where like I try to like come in and like be a sounding board, like with our monthly meetups and things. But I think that really it's been beautiful. I have team members that are like, playing sports now on Saturdays and aren't working Saturdays, and like nobody wants to work until 9:00 at night. And so our salon is not open traditionally. Like when people are like, that's the one thing that is tough. Google needs to like get up to date with it, because there's no like by appointment. Like, if you have to put your Google hours,
right.
Like I'm basically like 24/7 because my team literally is able to work whenever they want to work. Exactly. But yeah, everybody has the freedom, and we are by appointment. And of course, nobody needs to be at the salon unless they have a client, and that's it.
What has it been like attracting people to work at Willow with these methods?
I have found that some of the people that have shown interest and that have joined the team have come from rental situations, maybe that desire a little bit more autonomy and the freedom. And so that's been something that has been just a noticeable shift recently. And I think that I have found that it's a little challenging sometimes to try and like explain things to people, because they're just like, one, hourly pricing it's not the norm. I feel like sometimes I'm in an echo chamber because so many people that I'm in community with are doing it like across the country and continent. But like very much still here, there's only like maybe one or two other salons that are doing it. So I find that like there's a lot of fear around it. And so that kind of can be like a little, that's a little interesting to like navigate in the hiring process, actually.
Yeah.
But I do find, I'll tell you what, we went to, a few of us went from the salon to a beauty school a couple months ago, and just like gave a presentation on like the way we do things. And I was so inspired for like the youth of our industry. And like just like listening to them. And so I feel like we're starting to attract a lot more like youth, actually. And like, and maybe not youth, but people that are newer to the industry that aren't necessarily, just haven't been exposed to the same ways.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. We've had, now that DTH is going on 11 or 12 years old, we have found that a lot of new stylists will start their career at a DTH method salon, and then they'll leave only to come back because they're like, one, they can leave and come back, like the door's open, but they leave and they're like, oh, it's bad out there. Like, oh, it's not, and I think that's so interesting that like you said, the younger people, if they work for a DTH salon And like you said, we're in an echo chamber. We think everyone's doing hourly pricing, but they're not. And I think that's what happens to new people that work at DTH salons. They're like, oh, this is just how the industry works, until they go and explore. And so like you said, I think something's happening in the industry. We talked about this a long time ago, that a lot of renters are probably going to start coming back to commission salons, and we want to have the right commission salons for them, because renting is very unsustainable, especially if you're new, and especially over time when life gets busier, you want to have kids, and you don't want to pay rent and be the only one working. So I think we're seeing a lot of shifts right now that I would call them kind of autocorrects in the industry. And I'm hoping the DTH methods can kind of, we market them as future proof, but I'm hoping they can continue to prove that they work the further we go into the future. Because the more and I think what you're saying with the younger people is like, hourly pricing, I think, makes sense to the younger hairdressers out there. I think it makes more sense to them than it does people that have been in the industry like you and me for over 17, 20 something years, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see Willow Room going? Like, where do you see the future of the business going?
That's, right now I feel like I'm in like a fortification space in mode and time, like where I feel like like the expansion of like up and out. And I feel like right now I'm like going deep. And so I really, the synergy of the team that I have right now is, I think, amazing. And I feel like right now I'm really curious about the possibilities of like what can be with the energy that is existing right now. I think that also there's a lot of anything's possible, and not to be paralyzed by the limitless possibilities, but because we worked together through a lot of it, like all of the journey of me, like with the building and gonna buy this building and and I think that it's like right now it feels very much like there is like a settling, and just like we're going deeper, and like and I feel like right now the way that the salon is and like the wellness spaces in it, I very much feel kind of like a steward of it. Like I'm very much a part of it, but I'm also like just witnessing. And so I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, like I have no idea. I mean, right now everything feels like in alignment, and that feels really like limitless, actually.
Do you feel like you'd be in a different place today without coaching?
Who knows? Yes, I do. I mean, I don't know that I'd have the salon, actually.
Oh, really?
I need to be honest. Like, I don't know that I would have the salon anymore. Like, there's a lot of journeying of being a business owner, and like the amount of pressure and stress that can come from it. And I don't know that without the support of coaching and like just the reinforcement of emotional intelligence, I don't know that I would have stuck through some of the like crushing times. So I have no idea what would be if I didn't do what I've already done,
Right. I think, watching your journey, you've had a healthy business. I don't look at, there are some businesses that are unhealthy. They come to us, they need a lot of work. You didn't really come to DTH needing a lot of that. But I think one of the biggest things in our coaching is that we do deal with the emotional part, because running a business is so emotional, and running a salon is probably more emotional than any other business. And I think that coaching, like you said, I think it helps put that oxygen mask back on the people that are in charge. And I think we live in an industry that's like, oh, we got to take care of our team. We got to invest more in our team and do more for our team. And I think DTH comes in and says, we actually need to do more for you to get you to a great place. And then we can focus on the team. And also, let's let the team focus on themselves for a minute, right? Yeah. Like, they've got it. And I think that watching you go through coaching, that was what I see you got the most of, which was maybe if I remove myself sometimes and I step away, there will actually be more growth. And that's something that's hard to, it's easy to tell that to someone, but it's hard to experience that if I step away, one, not only will the business be okay, but maybe it'll grow even more. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like you just nailed it when you're like, and like letting the team focus on themselves. And I think that like going into that, the visceral sensation of stepping away and like not feeling like you're like abandoning something, or like the guilt that comes too with being like, I should be like in there 24/7 and grinding, and like, and coming like stepping away. I heard a lot of voices that be like, where's Casey? Where is she? She's never here anymore. Like from clients or maybe or from stylists. And I remember feeling like my reactivity would be like, get in there. And you challenged me one day. You're like, I challenge you to not go up there with your laptop. Stay out of there. Because I was always like, I am busy. I'm doing things, you know, and like really like, yeah, stepping away and like actually it's so it can be so empowering for the people that are actually there. And I think about it, like when you just asked me about like what do I see for Willow, like right now I see actually me seeing like who is there and what their strengths are, and being able to help foster their strengths, and widen my circle of leadership within my space. Because I think too, like that was something that has been really hard for me to like see. I'm like how to delegate, or like what in fact do I need. And it's like that individual of like, I can do it all. And it's like, you certainly can, not very well maybe. And I think that what I'm noticing is that in order for more growth in my space, actually like more humans, is I need to like, I'm focusing more on like growing my leadership team within the space. So whatever in any ways that we do expand in the future, there is sustainability.
Exactly. And I think that's what I hope salon owners get from DTH is growth is great, but sustainability is key, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we all want to make more money, but being able to make a consistent amount of money is hard to do in today's world. So even just getting to that sustainable consistency and then slowly growing from there. I always see these salons, they grow overnight, or they, you know, I made $100,000 in my first month. And you're like, that's not sustainable though. Like you got to get to a place where not only can you repeat it, but can your team handle it? Can you handle it? And I think what, you know, interviewing all these current and former students of DTH, that's kind of what I'm hearing is like, we have growth, but more importantly, my business is moving forward, just chugging along. And I think that's so important for salon owners to understand, that chugging along where you can take a salary and your staff can get paid really well and there's freedom, that is critical. It doesn't exist. It's not very common. And I think, like you said, as a student, especially if you're surrounded by other students, you think it's the norm, and it's not.
Big time. And I think that is like another thing that has really helped me, especially like the time away from coaching too, because I've been like reflecting a lot and like, and knowing like being able to see, oh my gosh, like sending like a bio, like writing a bio, or like having support writing a bio, you're like, I've done nothing. I do nothing, you know, like, and this is just like every other place. And then you were like, no, actually, this is not the norm. And like being able to like, to see that and like have that mirrored back to you, like, and especially when if you're in like during coaching, like having access to all these other people in the community that are like taking risks, doing things, like kind of letting their insides come out to like shuffle through and do the things. It's so inspiring, but you realize that is not necessarily what's happening all around. And people, I mean, I don't know. I was like, there's amazing salons everywhere. For sure, that are not doing this, but I think that it is definitely like it's helped me see like that like that I am special and I am doing a good job, and like and not to hide, actually, like not to hide, like, because I think that the impact that we can have like on the future of the industry actually is like tremendous. And I know there's a million ways to do things, but when you are like this way really resonates with me, and it's and I can see that it is essentially empowering people that work for me and with me in a way that that I'm not responsible for their growth,
Right.
like at all. Like I can like help find traction for them and like help, provide accountability actually. But yeah, I think that it is special. I think it's special.
What do people, when you talk to other salon owners, because I know we've talked about this before, when you talk to other salon owners about what you do they think you're crazy?
I don't actually talk to a lot of salon owners. I don't. I mean, I do have like one salon owner that I'm like in community with, and you know what? They're doing the same things actually. And they're in Cleveland. They're in Lakewood too, Jess at Verb Studio. And
oh yes.
So that's like, I don't talk to a lot of other salon owners. I feel like when I did in the past, because when I was heavy on retail, I would be invited to a lot more things with salon owners. I'm not invited anymore. But I remember sitting at the table and having conversations like where people did think it was crazy, and also really like felt like, but what I've noticed, it was like I would see people that were like burning out and taking like 3 clients still in an hour that were salon owners. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's another way. But yeah, the feed, I guess so. I don't really have a great answer for that because I'm not really in community with a lot of salon owners.
You're no longer invited to those.
I know you're not invited. That's all right.
I love a little Alanis Morissette.
Yeah,
recording.
You're welcome.
Do we need to pay for that? I don't. Do we have the rights? No. I'm just kidding. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of talk in the world about destroy the hairdresser's bad, destroy the hairdresser's good, it changed my life, it's ruined my life. In your words, why do you think destroy the hairdresser has such a crazy reputation? As someone who's been on the inside, why do you think there's a crazy reputation in this company?
Oh my God, there's so much fear. Like, I mean, so there's just so much fear. Like, I think that, like, why is there? Because I think that as somebody that was in DTH for years, I didn't talk about it because I was also like going through my own things of like, of it's personal, it's vulnerable. There's a lot of things that can come up. And I have to say one of the I'm like just gonna say, I mean, you invited me to come out of the podcast, and I was like a wholehearted yes. I mean, I get scared. I'm scared because I don't really enjoy like doing speaking and things like that. Sometimes I can get scared, but that's not the reason not to do it. But I felt like, to me, I felt like there was such a tremendous amount of transformation with the support of coaching that it felt silly not to come on here and actually just be like, hey, like, out of the closet. Like there is so much success that can be had in this. But I don't know why. I think that, because it can be wild. I mean, like you said in the beginning, I remember like, it was like, whenever you come into coaching, like the chances are you are not going to have the same team when you leave coaching. And like, that can be amazing. And it can be like pretty wild. So if you're not, it's very scary. Like, it's very scary to come. It's much easier to be like, everything's fine and just keep chugging along, And it's like, well, if you are coming to face truths and like communicate truths and also do things that are not pleasing the masses, because there is some part of that, you've got to also know that it's a little rough ride. It's not like you do these things and then you just like excel. I mean, there's like that expansion and contraction. And I can see how it can be hard for people. Yeah. But also there's that piece of critical thinking and accountability. Like, yes, I don't know.
You're still actively participating.
I didn't do anything that I didn't do. I did the things. I'm making the choices and also like modifying for what works for me too. Like now my team is pretty big. And like after not having somebody in there for support at the desk, like we have somebody that comes in and is there for 20 hours a week because our salon runs smoother when we have the support in the house, you know? So it's like taking these methods, it really like to me feels like it flips, you know, it just kind of flips the script or like maybe like unveils the curtain and lets you see things in a different perspective and then try some things on. Which
and I hope it gives you like you more control, you as the owner, right? That's what I hope DTH gives people is as an owner, you can make whatever choices you want.
Yeah, totally. And know that like I feel confident in knowing that there was a time during coaching that I'd be like, I have to do it this way because it's part of my coaching. And then like, you know, that's not right. And I was able to kind of like really strengthen my confidence in knowing like I know what decisions I need to make for my business that are gonna like also because I'm in it every day or like the one tending to it. And so yeah, I definitely feel like there's more control and more freedom with less control, actually.
Right. That's the funny part, right?
Yeah.
So for someone listening who's like, I'm on the fence of making these changes, you know, like you said, it is a very scary thing to do, or, you know, I'm afraid of getting a coach because I'm afraid that they're going to make me do things. What would you tell that person that's listening?
I would encourage people if they feel like aligned and drawn to the ways that DTH is showing up. And I would encourage people to take the journey and always, you know, if you do also be a little vulnerable in your coaching because, you know, so much of the support that having the coach, I feel like tremendously, these methods are amazing, but really what was instrumental was having the one-on-one time on calls with you. Mm-hmm. And I know that what I can see zoomed out and out of coaching, that some of the like fear of vulnerability in coaching, I wonder like what else would have been uncovered if I would have been a little bit more vulnerable, like in my actual sessions too. So yeah, I think that I really do. I encourage people if they feel aligned and called to do it, like, I think the emotional intelligence and learning about your reactivity has been tremendous. That and therapy together, it's cool. You know, there's so much. I mean, you know.
Get support, right? Get the support you need.
Get support. You just need support, especially if you're a salon owner. I feel like, I mean, hairstylist, I've never did coaching as a stylist, but I do, as a salon owner, I feel like support is instrumental to so much. And you need community, and it can be really isolating and feel lonely to be a leader and a salon owner, and having support is really important.
All right, I have one last question.
Yes.
How would you say that Destroy the Hairdresser community, because when you're in coaching, you're part of the community, how would you say that community has been different from other hairdresser salon or communities that you've experienced?
I've been kind of a lone wolf for a while. Coming into the DTH community, I found that people are really oriented towards personal development and growth, and really supportive of each other. And I have not a lot of experience with other salon industry communities, but I do find some things that, some ticks, like some like, like people like feed on negativity and on kind of like non-accountability and like personal accountability. And I find that when I came into the DTH community, people that are there and taking a lot of like personal responsibility is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like it's a very like personal responsibility, personal development oriented group of people that I have found nothing but inspiration and support by being a part of. That was one of the hardest things walking away from coaching also is because like when you're not in that group, you're not in that group. And so, I mean, I still connect with people on Instagram and whatnot, and form relationships. But I find it to be a tremendous source of inspiration, especially with other salon owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Casey, how can people follow you on Instagram? How can they find your website? Just to reiterate how they can connect with you.
Yeah. So Willow Room is the website, willowroomsalon.com. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at Willow Room Collective. And then my Instagram is Casey Lynn Lewis.
Excellent. And if you're a hairdresser and you're curious and you're in the Cleveland, Ohio area, you can reach out to Casey and see what a DTH salon looks like. And if you are interested in just exploring and seeing kind of how a DTH salon looks, I'm calling your salon DTH salon. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
There's no such thing as a DTH salon.
I'm like,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. We have some retail.
Exactly. There's not a lot of retail available. But I encourage you to explore and to look at Casey's website. If you're in the area, give Casey a visit. We want people to be able to get a little bit of an inside peek of what this looks like, not only for people that are in the program now, but someone like Casey who's been in the program and has been out of it for 7 months, because there is something to say about what's happened 7 months after, coaching hasn't been successful. So I want to thank you for joining us, and I hope that we can follow up with you in the future.
Cool. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Bye.
You can